What's up, people? Yesterday started the Norway test, maybe the strongest classical event in the world, with Magnus Carlsen playing, the world champion gukesh, Vincent Keimer, Pragg, Firuza, and wesleyso. And we have the women's section too, with all the players above 25 rating. In the video of today, I'm going to analyze the game between wesleyso and Pragg. In this format, they play classical games, but if they draw the classical game, they play an Armageddon just after the finish. So first I'm going to analyze the classical of Pragg and wesleyso a little bit, and later I'm going to put more focus into the Armageddon, who was the most amazing game of the day. Okay, let's analyze the classical. Pragg open with knight f3, d5, e3, and c4. Pragg tried this scheme, who is interesting. c4, b3, bishop b7. I never play bishop b7 in this position with black, because I used to face this system with the semi-Slav, as wesleyso made in the Armageddon. But okay, later I'm going to talk more about the setup with the semi-Slav. Now I'm going to watch more or less fast the classical game, because the classical game have a key moment in the move 14, but the rest was not so interesting. The most interesting moment of the game came in the Armageddon. In the Armageddon game, knight takes d5, knight c3, knight c6, queen c2. Well, all of the development by white is completely normal. Knight db4, queen b1. That's the typical white setup here with this opening. Queen c2, knight b4. But I'm not a huge fan of the black setup against the white system. b6, a3, knight d5, h4. Well, I'm not huge fan of move twice this here the knight in the opening, h4, and now white start an attack in the king side, who is very typical in this position, because the bishop on b2 attacks very well, the queen is aiming to the king side too, and the white king is very safe, and black have no breakthroughs in the center, because these two pawns doesn't advance so early. So with black having any breakthroughs in the center and white having a couple of pieces aiming to the king side, so it's a good idea to start an attack. f5 by wesleyso, trying to close the win and trying to stop the move g4, who is very typical here to attack with g4 too. So interesting move by wesleyso. Apart the knight is coming to e4, g5, so f5 has really a lot of sense. Queen c2, and here wesleyso was afraid of a possible knight takes d5 in one moment, because after knight d5, if black should take with the pawn, then the d5 pawn, the f5 pawn is going to be very weak, and black position is going to be a little bit strange. So he decided, apart that the dark square bishop is going to be open, so trying to keep the b2 bishop close, wesleyso played a bad move, that's knight c7. So this is the first key moment of the game. Here black should play, or just continuing the development with bishop b7, who is logical. But I suppose that he was afraid about knight takes d5. If queen d5, just bishop c4. But okay, white is better, but black position is not a disaster. But white is more comfortable, of course. The a6 pawn is weak, and both white bishops are very active. So, and if black takes with the pawn, just following the development with h5 is enough for black to put in pressure. Here, bishop f6 is another interesting move. The idea is, if white trades on d5, now the dark square bishops are going to be traded too. And okay, black is eliminating pieces and she's close to defend the position. This could be the next move, but okay, white is slightly better, but black position is more or less fine. The only problem is this pawn on f5, who makes the black king a little bit weak. And h6 was another normal move. Okay, this move is stopping h5, h6. He's stopping the knight from king to g5. So okay, h6 have a lot of sense. But wesleyso, instead of that, he played knight c7, which is a mistake, because allows this very good move by Pragg, who he doesn't play, with g4, trying to open this diagonal, and trying to open the g5 one day, or knight g5. But the principal reason of this move is just open the c2 h7 diagonal. If black takes, here knight g5, attacking h7. That's the huge idea. For example, if bishop takes, now pawn takes, and white is attacking h7 with the queen and with the rook. Rook f5, knight e4, defending the pawn, opening the bishop, and white is better, of course. Black here can try to stop the threat on h7 with g6, but after knight h7 and h5, white position is completely winning. Black cannot defend his king, and they see that all the white pieces are very active. The knight is coming to e4, and white is completely winning. And if he can try to stop the threat with rook f5, but here we can just steer with the development. First long castle. Maybe one day the bishop can take on g4. Looks very natural too. For example, h6, f3, trying to open more the position. Takes a now bishop c4. Interesting idea. Now white is threatening take the rook. Queen f8, knight b5, still opening all the pieces. Knight takes e6. Now game's deducted, bishop e6. After queen e4, white is better. Okay, the knight is under attack, this rook is pinned. Rook g1, rook g7 is an idea, so we have a very promising position. But all of this came because of the move g4, which is very helpful in white position, trying to open all the files. Let's see if black doesn't take on g4, because okay, we just watched f takes g4, opening the diagonal, and okay, this looks like it's very good for white because white is opening all the diagonals and all the files. Black can play rook b8 too, who is the strongest move of the position. It's very hard to play, of course, because white played g4 and it's not clear what is the rook doing on b8, but is the strongest move. For example, rook e1. Now black can play e5, pawn takes, bishop takes, knight e4, bishop h4, and long castle, but white is better, of course. This rook is open. This bishop is very good. This bishop is going to c4. The h file is open, and white is very good here. Here after g4, king h8 is the other possibility. Here yes, long castle, placing finishing the development, and now just knight g5, and white is better. So g4 here could give Praggnanandhaa the I don't know if the victory, but this move could help so much to just to give the Praggnanandhaa the point. Instead of that, he played d4. Okay, it's an interesting move, but simply g4 was simply stronger. d4, okay, d4 is a normal move, but g4 is stronger. The idea after c takes is knight b5, who is fine. White is still being better here, but he's not following the correct plan with d4. By the way, with d4, Pragg is still better. Takes, knight b5. And here comes the last key moment of the game. The first one was d4. With d4, Pragg was better. But this was his last chance of be better in the position. Here he should play bishop e5. Instead of that, he played bishop b2. But after rook c8, wesleyso completely equalized the position. And they make a draw 15 moves later. But here he had bishop b5 with the idea of give the b2 square for the queen. For example, now if rook c8, as in the game, here we have this extra square, queen b2 for the queen attacking g7, and you are putting some pressure. Or if knight takes a3, this pawn sacrifice, just queen b2 attacking g7, attacking the knight, bishop b4, king f1, bishop b5. Black should play active, because if black just goes back with the knight, just bishop d7 is completely winning for white. So black should play active here. Check first, and then bishop b5, rook h3, rook c8. And okay, in this position, white is slightly better. But after bishop b2 by Pragg, now all the white initiative is completely over. And one of the reasons that I like this opening for white and why the attack in the kingside works is that it's because these two pawns, these two pawns on e3 and on d2 are not so advanced, and this complicates so much the black task of create counterplay in the center or make breakthroughs. It's not the same. If this pawn is on d4, then you can take on d4 and all the lines are open. So with the position open, it's going to be more difficult to make a kingside attack. But with this pawn here, makes very difficult for black to create counterplay in the center. That's why it's important here to attack instead of play d4. So this was the classical game. After that, the game have so much mystery. Was a draw more or less fast. But the good thing of the format of Norway is that if the game ended in a draw, we have an Armageddon after that. The Armageddon consists in a game where white have 10 minutes and black have 7. But if the game ended in a draw, black wins. And they have increment after the move 40. First is without increment, and after the move 40 they have 1 second per move. And the time control of the classical games, I didn't talk about it, was 2 hours from the start of the game without increment, and after the move 40 they receive 10 seconds of increment, but without 30 minutes added, nothing. So first started being a classical game, but later turned into a rapid. Okay, let's see the Armageddon. Who was okay? I'm going to the right. Okay, better. The Armageddon was more amazing than the classical this time. Okay, and they have the same colors as in the classical game. Okay, let's see the Armageddon. In the Armageddon, Prague repeats the same system with knight f3. Okay, he reached a good position in the classical game, so he repeats the same system with e3, and this time wesleyso goes for a semi-slav. But I say that I prefer the semi-slav system against this white setup. But here wesleyso played knight bd7, which is a move like I don't really like, because I prefer to play more concrete with e6, trying to push fast e5. Here b3 is the main move, bishop d6, bishop b2, sword castle. White should take care, because here bishop b2 is the best move, but it's very typical for this white setup to play queen c2 first. But here queen c2 after e5, here black is slightly better. So with this exactly move order, at least you are forcing your opponent to know the theory and know that bishop e2 here was better, and here e5. That's the idea of keep the knight on b7 to push fast e5, and if white takes on d5, now the knight is going to be developed to c6 instead of to d7. Of course, the knight is better on c6. There is a game between Nepo and Giri where I find this idea with black. For example, knight b5, knight c6, takes d4. Once I play that in a classical game and my opponent plays sword castle, where here d4 is a very good move. I was playing good, but I failed because in one moment I played d3, opening his dark square bishop, and I reached a bad position. So yes, sword castle, sorry. D4 is the normal move, avoiding d4. e4, knight d5, and here knight d7, and black is fine. So the position is more or less equal. So that's why I recommend you to play against this system with black. And if black develops the queen to c2, we are going to make the same, just e5, but this position is better than the other one with the queen on c2. Sorry, d4. No, sorry, knight b5 first should be played. Because I remember that here knight b4 is the key move. Instead of e4 first, was better to play first knight b4. Okay, that's my recommendation if you face this system, this by white. Okay, wesleyso, instead of that, he played knight bd7 first. Remember you that wesleyso, just with the draw, he win the game. A victory or a draw for wesleyso is the same. The queen c2, white follow the same system, e6, b3, bishop d6, bishop b2, sword castle, bishop b2, queen e7, and now Prague played rook g1, very aggressive move. The idea is clear, just push g4 in the next move. He learned from the first game that he doesn't play g4. Looks like for the Armageddon he wants to make that. And now wesleyso play a very slow move, b6. I think that he should react in the center playing e5, and for a reason you place all the pieces, all the pieces here. Look like you should play e5. That's the natural move. e5 can respond g4, and now a5, trying to create counterplay in the queen side too. g5, and now black cannot go back with the knight because after h4, white is better. So now black should sacrifice the pawn with knight e4. That's very typical. Opening all the pieces. Knight takes, queen takes, and now a4, trying to open the rook. h4 and now knight c5. And all the black pieces are playing. This rook, this bishop is open. This knight is active. The rook is being open thanks to the a pawn. Okay, the bishop and the queen are more or less fine. So that's a better response for black to face this kingside attack with g4, g5, sacrificing the pawn but trying to open all the pieces. I really like the concept of, okay, because e5 is more or less normal, but I really like the concept here of a4, who, okay, it's not threatening an a5, sorry, it's not threatening a4 directly, but after knight e4, now it's time to open the rook. I really like this concept, and now knight c5, opening all the pieces. So this was the best way to respond against rook g1. You can start with a5, of course, but I prefer e5 first. But the move played by wesleyso b6 was very slow. Now d4 by Pragg, and white is coming so fast. And like I said, with these 2 pawns here, it's not easy for black to find counterplay in the center. Bishop b7, still playing so slow. g5, and now sacrifice here have no so much sense. So you should go back, and white still with the attack h4, and white have good attack in the kingside, and it's not clear how black is going to find counterplay because white position is very solid. Here wesleyso make a huge mistake, c5. Okay, with c5 I understand that he wants to open this bishop, but the problem is that you are closing this bishop and this queen. Because here the best move, well, one of the two best moves was bishop a3, trying to trade this very strong bishop. We watched in the classical game a move as bishop f6, trying to trade the bishop as well. But bishop a3 here was very good, trying to trade this bishop. It's okay, it's not the same that white attacks you with 5 pieces that if white attacks with only 4, and the b2 bishop is a great attacker in this opening. So bishop a3 here was very good. Take, and okay, we can just return. And of course, white is better here, but at least he's not attacking with the b2 bishop, who is a good attacker and a good defender to the king too. And the other idea here was rook c8, followed by b5. No castle, take, and now it's time to trade the bishops. The problem of c5 is that you are closing your bishop, so you're not going to have never the trade bishop a3, and the plan of b5 is over too. So with c5 you are closing your both counterplays ideas. So c5 is just a losing move, and the problem for black is that the white play is very easy, especially for a rapid game. The white play is very easy, just long castle, h5, h6, and the attacks came very fast. Okay, here he played h5, and long castle was a little bit better, but okay, h5 is completely fine. Rook d8. Here he played long castle, c takes is fine too. But okay, long castle have no problems. Like I say, that the white play is very easy. d4, trying to open the bishop. This is logical, knight d4. But the problem is of d4, of course, that you are giving the e4 square for the knight. e5, I don't like this move because you are weakening the e5 f5 square. Knight h4, g6. No, bishop d3. The machine prefer the bishop on f3. Say that the bishop on d3 have no so much sense. The machine prefer the bishop here, followed by king h1, rook g1, rook e1, rook g1. And here Pragg had a winning position, but it's still not easy to enter in black camp because black is more or less solid. And here he invent an idea who is not the best according to the machine, because okay, black can hold with the best move, but okay, have some interest, especially for a rapid game. You are opening the game, and it's half his interest, this move. but the machine doesn't like. The machine just prefer to take here and king b1 or rook e1, or just return to the e2 to place the bishop on f3. But okay, if Prague complicates so much the game, maybe it's not necessary, but okay, here wesleyso failed. Okay, I understand that the position is very difficult, but looks like takes on f4 is necessary, and later see what white have planned against that. But if your opponent, if you have a very bad position and your opponent give you a pawn and you have no clear why you are going to lose, okay, if you calculate that if you take this pawn you are losing, don't take it. But if you don't know what happened, just take it and let's see what your opponent is prepared for you. But of course you should calculate, but if you doesn't see nothing, believe in what you calculate, and it's better to complicate the game than lose without make nothing, because the worst way to lose the game is without make nothing and without creating counterplay. So it's better to be completely losing with a pawn up than with the same pawns, because maybe if you have a pawn up, your opponent should play more accurate to maintain the advantage. So here wesleyso should take the pawn. I don't know what was the Prague idea. Maybe it takes d4. I suppose that the general idea of f4 is just open the bishop. It's a logical concept, of course. It takes, for example, it takes d4, it takes rook d1, but here bishop e5 and black holds more or less. Or after it takes rook d1 was another possibility. But okay, here white have the initiative and have two pawns down, but it's very active. But it's not completely clear the game. And black have good resources. But instead of that, wesleyso take the incorrect pawn. I don't really understand why wesleyso take on h5, because just after f5, I think that white is completely winning. And taking the h5 pawn, the only thing that you are making is opening the h5, and added that the f5 pawn is very strong, because he's coming to f6 one day to give checkmate in this square. For example, after a possible f6 and bishop e2, this knight have no squares. And if white managed to take on h5 after he takes knight f5, is coming with completely winning position for white, of course. Bishop back. Here I like to go DLD for the knight, but okay, rook df1 placing on the piece is good, is great. Bishop e2. The plan, like I said, take here, and now, okay, he doesn't take. Sorry, if he takes here, maybe everything is winning, but maybe f6, d6, queen d1, queen h1, everything is completely winning for. Okay, queen d1 now because the knight is hanging, but a white position is completely winning. Okay, he tried d3 and bishop e4. Now queen g4 good move. Takes, and here the machine prefer to keep queens, for example with queen h3, but the endgame is completely winning for white, so for that reason Prague entered here and he won the endgame very clean. So great game of Prague in the Armageddon. He came with an interesting idea for the classical game with this setup for white, and all the plans of a kingside attack with rook g1 and g4. But yes, in the classical game he failed with the attack of g4, but at least in the Armageddon he finally make the idea works, and he won a very good game in the Armageddon to take 1.5 point for the first round. I'm going to analyze the other two games of the first round of the Norway chess, so follow me to see the videos. Bye bye.